After 10 o'clock, I'm excited. We have a guest in studio. He's going to be making his UFC debut later this month. It's going to be, I think, like next weekend. So we're going to get into all of that. I'm going to kick this on the FM. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio 99.5 FM. This is Kickstart. My name is Gardy, and I have a guest in studio. I'm going to let him introduce himself, and then we're going to find out everything that he has going on.
What's up, guys? This is Martinez here.
Yeah, I'm excited that you're here. So I guess I was talking to Christian with Space City Collective yesterday, and your name came up, and I reached and DM'd you, and we got you in today because you have a busy next couple weeks coming up, right?
Yeah, so I was originally supposed to fight this weekend, and some things fell out. But, I was luckily able to get rescheduled next weekend, so we're going to do it then. And, I'm excited. I'm ready to go, man.
Yeah, so whenever it comes to getting prepared for a fight, you have your opponents and all that. Do you kind of prepare for the opponent or just prepare for yourself and kind of stay ready?
So a lot of fighters, like to study their opponents and watch a lot of film on them. Me, I do watch some film, but I like to more so focus on myself, because at the end of the day, when you get in the cage with somebody, you never know if their game plan's going to switch compared to how they fought in the past. So for me, it's always about sharpening my skills, my tools, and making sure I'm in the best shape and, going out there and doing what I have to do to get the win.
Let's get into some of your background, like how it started, and then we can talk about some recent stuff that's going on. But how long have you been training, doing martial arts, and how did that start for you?
So it started, this lifelong journey started when I was 4 years old. I was in karate, and at the age of 7, I got my black belt. So at the time, that was a huge accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to say me and one of my teammates, this girl, were like the youngest black belts in the state of Texas. But, man, I didn't play any other sports. That's what people don't get. They're like, oh, that's so young. Like, what did you do to earn it so fast? Day in, day out, karate's nonstop. It's not seasonal. So I kept going and, training. My parents, I was luckily enough to have them, push me and pick me every day. So from then, about 10 years old, 11, I started jiu-jitsu and then got into other kickboxing and stuff like that and made my debut, 17, and then 20 years old, professional debut. So yeah, it's a long journey.
What was your first memory of, I guess, like MMA? Just seeing that, whether it was something on UFC you saw or maybe a local fight or anything like that. What's your first memory that made you see, hey, maybe I could do that or want to?
My first memory would probably have to be my dad fighting because he fought.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I wasn't quite old enough to get into the venue. I was still young.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And he came home. I want to say he had a black eye or something, unfortunately. He won the fight, though. And, it was cool seeing him, like, videos and recapping him get that win. And, I think from that point on, I knew deep down, like, hey, this is meant to be for me, And unfortunately, he didn't quite go through with it on his career, but, I'm living it for him.
That's what I was thinking. Those injuries happen, like, a black eye, that's not that bad, but it looks bad. But, starting martial arts at 4 years old, getting your black belt at 7, jiu-jitsu 10, 11 years old. How many injuries have you had throughout the years? And I guess what's some of the worst ones? And was there ever a time where you're just like, am I going to get through this?
So, you have bumps and bruises. That's part of the game and, injuries. But the worst one I'd have to say was my torn ACL and meniscus. And it came in the, I don't want to say funniest way, but, most awkward, weird way that you wouldn't expect. So after my first amateur title I won, I was excited, celebrating, jumped on the cage. And when I jumped down, I don't know if there was a slick spot, sweat, water, boom, felt my knee slip, tear. And then from there, I was like, oh, I got to get surgery. And
you immediately could tell?
Yeah, I could. But, the adrenaline was pumping, so I was still excited. Next day, too, I felt it. And crazy thing is, I was playing baseball at the time in high school. So I was like, man, I don't want to end off my senior season. Yeah, I want to say it was my senior season. So I roughed through it, man. I was out there in the outfield running after balls. And, man, I remember, like, sometimes my knee would slip. And I'm like, oh, man. So I had
to. You just roughed it.
I literally had to rough it out, play it out. And then after that season, I got surgery. And It's held up fine to this day. I took my rehab very serious, and that's the most part people don't take serious, and that's how injury reoccurs. But yeah, that's probably my worst one, and it came in the most awkward way. But now I know, don't jump on the cage and don't jump down too fast.
What's that like having, amateur titles in high school? And what high school did you go through? Did people kind of come and watch your fights, or did you not talk about it or be like, dude, I'm the champ,
No, yeah, exactly. I went to Dobie High School, class of 14. Shout out all my boys. But yeah, I've always been a real humble guy. I've never, walked around with my chest too high or like, oh yeah, like I'm the champ. But of course my boys would always be like, man, this guy's it, blah blah blah. So in the locker room, there was football players, baseball players. And it's funny because the football players would come in. Oh,
he's
guy,
nothing. Yeah. Right.
So we'd lay out the mats in the locker room. Yeah. And, everybody would come in here and, we'd wrestle, grapple. And I didn't want to throw any fists or anything like that. So they'd tackle me and like, oh, I got him down. And then boom, next thing you know, I got their arms straightened out, popping. And they're like, ah.
Yeah. What about, was there wrestling at Dobie?
No, unfortunately not. There wasn't wrestling. But, if there was, I would have definitely been in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of MMA now, and it seems like a lot of the guys that are at the top, they have that wrestling background, or maybe they don't, but they just are naturally gifted at it.
Exactly. Wrestling is definitely on the come up, and I'm really suggestive to anybody who is getting started. Wrestling might be the go-to to start off with.
Yeah. Is there any other sports you played in high school besides baseball?
No, just baseball. I played a little bit in Little League as well, so that way, when I got to the high school level, I was like, let's do it, man, and had fun there.
So after high school, what was your plan? Was that like, hey, I've won these amateur titles, I'm going to turn pro, I'm going to focus on this? Was there ever anything else or something else you're still pursuing?
No, I've always said it. This has always been my plan A, never been a plan B, and it's just true belief in myself and my family, and because they're the ones who got me here as well as myself. And I've always thought, I don't have a backup, which is totally fine with me because I'm so confident in myself, and I know how long I've been doing this, that this is what I was meant to be and destined to do. So yeah, never really any backup. I know, there will be a time where I have to come and think about, other investments or, things of that sort, but for now, I'm focused on my career, and I know it's about to take off.
Yeah. So before we went on air, we were talking a little bit about Metro Fight Club, and I see you got sneakers on. And I was at Christian Sneaker Shop earlier, and it reminded me of like Flight Club.
Mm-hmm.
But what else are you into besides fighting and MMA?
Yeah. So shout out the guys at Space City, my boys. Sneakers. I love collecting them and going after certain rare sneakers and
it's
shoes.
hard, man.
It's hard. It is hard. It is hard, especially nowadays with these bots and computers that just buy up all the shoes. But I do that. I play Call of Duty, a lot of gaming.
It's video games.
Yeah, video games. That's about it, man. I'm not too into anything else.
Yeah.
For now.
That's cool. Yeah, but there's always, you never know. There's stuff, some comes up, try it out. But, I mean, you have to keep a pretty, I guess, a strict training schedule.
Exactly.
And then being ready for fights and stuff. So what does that look like? Like a normal day, and then like coming up to a fight like next weekend?
Yeah, so a normal day will be me waking up about 8, 9 a.m., get my breakfast in, 10 a.m. strength and conditioning, have about an hour or two session, come home, rest up before I either have sparring or wrestling at night, and get through that. Squeeze in my 3-mile run because that's very important, very key. You got to run those miles, and like my coach always said, the legs are the first thing to go. So as long as you have that stamina within your legs and you've been running your miles, you'll be good. So that, and then come home, play Call of Duty for a little bit at night, and back to the grind again. Yes, sir.
Do it again. Okay. And then before we went on air as well, I asked you how long you'd been at Metro Fight Club, and you said like how long and how did that switch happen for you?
So it's about 4 or 5 years I've been there, and I've said this story before, but it never gets old because it was a true life-changing moment for me. After my first professional loss, I was really down, in the locker room. I was upset, crying. I'll be the first to admit I cried. I've cried after every single one of my losses, and I feel like if you don't cry, you're not really a true competitor. Maybe not so much a true competitor, but maybe you're not as, invested into
Yeah.
the game as you think other people would be. But anyways, so yeah, I was very down, and Coach Saul came up to me and he's like, "Man, you did great out there. Keep your head up, and anytime you want to come train at my gym, you're more than welcome to." So I took that to heart, and nobody else was coming up to me or worried about me. So for him to make his way when he had other fighters he had to coach and go out there and look for, I really was like, man, that means a lot. So that following Monday, I showed up to his gym, sparred that day. I think my nose is still a little bit soft from the fight. Yeah, so I was bloodied up, and I got out the cage. He's like, "Here's a towel, get back in there." So I wiped my nose, get back in there. I'm like, this is where I need to be, man.
Yeah.
So the rest is history. I've been there ever since.
At that time, 4 or 5 years ago, who were some of those guys that were there? Because your coach, he's coached some of the best of the best, and even now, like, there's these guys, young up and comers, but
Yes.
you're at the show.
Yeah, so of course Adrian Yanez was there. He's been there since day one with Coach. Jacob Silva was there. A lot of other guys. These younger guys hadn't quite been in the picture yet, but they eventually came. But I clearly remember those two being there, and they're still here. So for sure those two, and yeah, like I said, a bunch of the younger guys came later down the road, but now the group that we have is a real good core group, and we're making moves, man.
Yeah, so Adrian Yanez, he showed up, UFC, and has just kind of been putting on a show. And I feel like all of Houston, Texas, and everywhere has just kind of been rooting for him. What has that done for you?
It's been nothing but motivating, seeing him go out there, especially his last fight that I got to actually corner and be there for him. It's all the motivation I've needed, and it's cool seeing him go out there and make those moves because I know how long he's been putting in the work, and I know how loyal he's been to Coach Saul. So for him to go out there, his first 3 fights, and have 3 knockouts, 3 stoppages, that's amazing to see, and I know I'll be up next.
Yeah, and he's getting those bonuses and those fight of the night and all this stuff, and it's just like, wow,
yeah,
this is legit. I can only imagine, because I was reading some of the articles, like, working one day, it's like, hey, now I can focus on fighting full time,
Exactly.
And that's a really cool, it's a cool thing to see.
It is, because like you said, he was working and had that day job, and for him to be able to just up and leave that and make all those bonuses, and it still hasn't changed him, man. He's still humble. He's still a good person overall, and that's just, like I said, inspiring to see for me.
So you had to, due to some things that are going on, and I saw your Instagram post saying, hey, I'm still healthy, I'm good, but there's some things that happened with your coach, and he recently passed, and I'm sorry, and I know there's a lot of people, our condolences to your MMA family, Metro Fight Club. How are you? Are you ready? And I guess that got rescheduled for next weekend. How are you taking that, and are you ready for that?
So physically, I'm ready. Since my last fight date, which again was supposed to be this weekend, I've been physically ready. My body's in shape. I feel great. My cardio's up to par. Everything, my skill set. Now, mentally, on the other hand, it's been a rough past couple of days, but I'm just staying strong. I keep telling myself this is what Coach Saul would have wanted. He would have wanted me to go out there and fight and represent Metro and make him proud. So in the back of my mind, it's like, you're going to go out there and do this for him. Nobody else, of course your family, everyone else, but first and foremost for him, because, again, I know how important this would have been to him, especially being my debut, and he would have went out there and would have loved to see me perform.
Yes. So next week, how does it go? You're going to be going out to Vegas, I believe?
Yes, sir. So it's good that I got to corner Adrian his last fight because I got a feel for it and to see how it was. So we'll fly out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, cut weight, get ready, and then Friday weigh in and Saturday showtime.
Awesome. Yeah, to be able to experience that before on your debut, I feel like that has to be a big benefit.
A huge game changer, a huge advantage, because I know the ins and outs, like when you can go to Whole Foods, because you're still in quarantine technically over there, and you can only stay in the hotel, but like, when the shuttle bus leaves to go train at the PI, or when it leaves to go get Whole Foods, like, so things like that, I kind of know the ins and outs already, and I won't be lost, so that's kind of good for me.
All right, that's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about what it was like to when Dana White, they offered you that contract. It was Dana White looking for a fight with Fury Fighting Championship. It was a really big thing, and I watched that. I wasn't able to be there in person, but I watched it on my phone.
Pass,
yeah, on Fight Pass, so it's legit. What was that experience like?
It was amazing, man. Shout out to Fury, the best local promotion that there is out right now. And thank you to them for giving me the opportunity. But it was so cool, man. Just, finally getting my moment, because I had a little hiccup back around this time last year in Vegas. And, I was able to fight for a contract. Unfortunately, did not get it. And this go around, I knew what I had to do. And I went out there, did it in 30 seconds. And, to see his reaction, to see Derek Lewis's reaction, Matt Serra, all the guys at the table with him was amazing. And to hear those words backstage from him, welcome back to the UFC, kid, will stick with me forever. And I still get chills repeating it and saying it, because that was a real life-changing moment.
Yeah. What's the pressure like in those situations? Like, you knew that contract, hey, this is probably going to happen depending on how this goes. And how do you process that?
So the pressure, I try not to overhype it or, overthink myself. And I just go out there and pretend it's another day of sparring, really. Mm-hmm. It's like you do this every day. You go out there and spar. It's just with no shin gear and smaller gloves. So the pressure, it doesn't really affect me. But like my coach Saul told me before I walked out, it's your time. It's your time. And when your time is coming. And my time had been coming, especially, it being in front of my hometown with everyone who's been supporting me. I knew that moment was going to build up, the stars were going to align, and I was going to get that contract. So it was good, man. I didn't feel the pressure too much. I'm confident in my skill set. I know the work I put in. So, as long as I know that deep down, the pressure doesn't really get to me.
Okay, so next weekend, the debut, UFC debut. What's the rest of this year look like for you? And then I guess like your career, what are some goals you have?
So the rest of this year for now, of course, to make my debut next weekend, I plan on, hopefully, God willing, come out injury-free, getting back in there, by Halloween, October sometime, maybe squeezing another fight. I told Dana backstage, I said, I'm ready whenever you need me. Let's go. Let's do it. I've been waiting for this shot, this opportunity. 1 week's notice, 2 weeks notice. I'm your guy. Put me in. So I hope he remembers that, or he knows, and he keeps me in mind, But for that, being the rest of the year, those are definitely my goals. And for my whole career is, just to be the best. That's it. I always talk about, being the best and the journey to becoming the best. And that's all I want to do. I know it's literally been a lifelong journey since 4 years old, and I'm destined for greatness. I know it, man. I'm not just saying that to say it, because I know the work I've put in, the years, the dedication, and become champ, of course, and you see champ, you see, 2 different weight classes. If the stars align, if it's possible, I can see myself at 3 weight classes. I've never publicly said that, but I can definitely see it, man. And, within due time, it will happen. And, as long as I stay dedicated to my craft and continue to get better every day, it's definitely possible.
So right now you're making the debut at Bantamweight, right?
Yes, sir.
And that weight class, there's a lot of talk about it. It's pretty stacked.
Mm-hmm.
How does that make you feel?
It excites me.
Yeah.
You can just tell in my grin and my smile, like, this is what I live for. I love competition, man. Everything's like a competition to me in life. Like, just certain things, whether it's like a friendly game with my little brother and sister, I show no remorse, man. Like, we'll play basketball in the front yard with my little brother, and oh man, I'm skunking. I'm like, hey bro, maybe when you're older you can give me a run or possibly beat me, but right now it's competition. So that division excites me. There's a bunch of great guys in there, and I've always said I want to compete with the best, and I want to show that I'm the best. And what better way to do it in the Bantamweight division than we'll worry about it later, but the featherweight and then the lightweight, man.
Yeah.
You never know.
Hey, how does that competitiveness translate to your Call of Duty?
Oh, dude, you should see me, man. My mom and my little brother, sister, they got to tell me, quiet down, because I'll be screaming on the mic. My boys know how it is. I'm like, man, he's one shot, so you got to go trade that kill. It's funny, but yeah, the competitiveness is definitely there in the Call of Duty as well.
With your siblings, are they do they train as well?
They did. Yeah, pre-pandemic. So, like I mentioned, we owned our own karate school, so they were there. My little sister's actually a black belt. My brother was on the verge of getting his black belt. He's a brown belt, and the whole thing, the whole corona and all that
Right.
kind of shut us down. But right now he's into football, so he's playing football. My sister's cheerleading now, so it's cool to see them do different things
Yeah.
rather than martial arts their whole life, like they had been doing. And it just goes to show, their karate background translates so well into other sports that they're like naturals. Like my sister will be doing one of those little kicks in cheerleading, and the coach will be like, "Man, how'd you do that so good?" And my sister's like, "Well, I used to kick
Yeah.
side kicks, 100 side kicks every day, so that built up strength." And then, my little brother's, fearlessness, and he goes out there and just runs the ball. It's like, dude, with pads on, this is easy, because I used to grapple with kids every day with no pads on, and they used to be trying to choke me. So it's cool to see their transition into other sports and how natural they are with it.
That's awesome. Like the black belt cheerleader.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And, her brother's a UFC fighter. So it's like, oh, watch out.
Yeah. Not only can she probably take you down, yeah, he'd definitely be able to take care of anything. So, hey, watch
Yes,
yourself. Last year with the gyms shutting down, and I'm sure it was harder to train,
Mm-hmm.
You get in the call to go out there to the Contender Series and everything else. How was it trying to keep up and everything? Did you have to kind of train in secret or like smaller groups and everything, or how did that go?
Yes, exactly. We had to train, and Coach Saul always wanted to make sure we got our work in. And I'm not sure if I could disclose the place, but I'll mention it. It was like a little T-shirt shop / I want to say tattoo parlor. I don't know, but yeah, it was like a little warehouse, probably the size of this that we're in right now. He put the mats out, and 4 or 5 guys, let's go. It was a small group, like you said, and we were training in there, and he of course made sure we still got our work in, and it was good to still continue to train and push each other.
And then, from what I at least remember and recall, like I think Fury was the first in Texas, or one of the first, fighting besides the UFC, who kind of went on, as they were able to, that actually opened it back up for these, local guys and stuff like that. What did that mean, I guess, for you and your teammates, for Fury to start doing those shows again?
Oh, it was awesome. Again, shout out to Fury, because they made the moves that was necessary to step up, and they were the first shows for sure in Texas to start back up again. And the platform they've gave my teammates and myself, especially me, is something to truly be thankful for. And we were all excited. We're like, oh, Fury's back, and we knew that there was going to be a crowd, and that's what we feed off of, especially fighting in our hometown. It's like, oh yeah, like even if it's at 50%, shoot.
Yeah.
50% is going to be all our people, most likely, or, everybody will show out for us.
Yeah.
So it was cool to have them, whether it was at half capacity or full capacity, open back up and let us showcase our skills.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the UFC just came back to Houston. They've already had a couple shows, and I'm guessing, I don't know all the details, and maybe they released it. I'm like, because Texas lets them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of the places where they can actually have these shows, over there at Toyota Center.
Yeah, so this past show, I was lucky enough to get some tickets and head there. And, man, just looking around and seeing how packed the Toyota Center was awesome and amazing to see. Like, I was like, dude, this is so cool. And I hope it continues. From what I've been told, or, I've kind of read up on, Toyota Center signed a deal with UFC. So if they do one more show here by the end of the year, or next year, they do 3-4 shows, it's going to be cool again to see that whole stadium packed out. And I'm really, really hoping Adrian or myself could hop on one of those cars, because, man, that'd be an amazing sight.
Is there any perks, like a discount on tickets or free tickets, or just call somebody like, hey, I'm signed to the UFC. Can I get into the show? Anything like that?
I've always joked around, because, some of these local places, they'll charge, like, on a pay-per-view night, $5-10. I'm like, man, should I show them that I'm a UFC fighter?
Right.
Just joking around. But luckily enough, our manager at Iridium Sports was able to hook us up with tickets, and, they were real good seats. So shout out to Jason House, our manager, and he hooks us up with the tickets.
How long have you been with Iridium Management?
I want to say going on 2 years, 2 years or so. Yeah.
How has that been? I guess, how did that shift your career?
It changed it for the better. You know, there was some decisions that I didn't quite know, my family and I, like, what to do. And my manager has always been there, man. He's calling me, texting me at least once a week, making sure I'm good. And he's been very helpful in these decisions, you know, these big ones. Because, you know, once you get up to the higher level, which is worldwide, like UFC, there's some big choices to make. And he's been very helpful for that. And, you know, I don't want to say I haven't had to quite been worried about anything, but, you know, he's been there. So that stress or, you know, that worriness is kind of lifted up off my shoulders.
Yeah. So my friend Darian, he just walked by. He works here. His name's Darian Oliveras. Him and his brother Dylan Oliveras. I think they actually went to Dobie as well, but he trained at Metro for a little bit whenever they were in school. And so we'll always talk and with Adrian and stuff and seeing him with the success that he's had and just kind of rooting him on. So that's
cool.
What's up?
I have to say what's up to him after if he went to Dobie, especially. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So right now I'm talking to Mana Martinez. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Right now it's 10:37. You know, you're going to be making your UFC debut. I don't even know how that, like, how can you even put that into words? Like, what does that mean to you?
It means, man, it means everything to me, especially with the unfortunate news that I got this week. I was really down on myself, and I know this is what Coach Saul would have wanted. I think I said it already. You know, he would have wanted me to go out there and perform and shine. So this fight's, of course, definitely going to be for him. And it's exciting. It's exciting, to say the least. I've been waiting all my life for this. And, you know, I'm going to go out there and put on a show like I always do. I did it here in the local promotion at Fury. And now I get to do it worldwide, you know, on ESPN. And it's going to be fun, man. I can't wait.
Is there anything else you'd like to share? Anything else that we haven't talked about yet?
No, just thank you for allowing me to be here. And you know, I've always watched, like I told you, like Breakfast Club and you know, radio shows like that. So to be here live and, you know, in person, face to face, I want to say this is probably the first interview I've done, or one of the first interviews I've done live. So this is really cool, and I thank you for.
Is live different for you?
It is. It's better though. It's better because, you know, on some of these Zoom calls or over the phone calls.
Yeah.
Not that I won't be myself, but I'm like, I don't know, you know, how this person is interviewing me, so I don't want to, you know, say certain things. But for you, it's like, man, I feel right at home, and I'm having a regular convo with you, man. So it's real cool.
Zoom is different, even for me, because I've done a lot. You know, last year we had to switch to Zoom, and it was a big benefit where it worked, but it's just hard. It's a little bit more difficult to make that connection and feel out where it's going.
Exactly.
Where this, in person is better. But I like to offer it because sometimes it's easier. Like even if it was Coach Copley with War Training Center. He was out there with Trevin Giles. And so he was in Vegas, like, hey, quarantine, like in the room doing their thing. And so, like, it's just zoomed him in. I'm like, hey, how's it going out there? So that was a lot of fun. For that, it's cool.
Yeah,
but
that's cool. Yeah, for sure.
But it's always better to get somebody in.
Exactly, face to face, man. And yeah, again, thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you. This is KHEA Radio.